Luck is where preparation meets opportunity. We value and appreciate the risk that you're taking to come here. No agency is bigger than the model. Doesn't work. We work for you.
I'm here at the coffee shop right next to Ice Models, my agency in Cape Town. But is this really the best agency? I sat down with Managing Director Donné La Grange, expecting a typical industry talk, but her insights were unexpected, inspiring, and eye-opening. How does ICE choose its models? What's the demand for models over 40? And with AI and influencer on the rise, is traditional modeling still the future? This conversation changed my perspective, and in the end, you decide, is ICE really the best? Let's get into it. Thank you so much for your time.
What a pleasure. I don't do these things too often. When they come up, I quite enjoy it. It's nice to talk about what we do here behind the scenes.
We're here to introduce you to my audience, our audience, and we're getting a bit deeper into ICE models. But to start off, I would like to share my experience that I was very impressed from the beginning, having the talk with you and Steffi, until being here to Cape Town.
It was so heartwarming to hear that when you said that to me the first time, because that is exactly how we want every single person to feel. We're very intentional with the way we do things here at ICE. And without giving too many of our trade secrets away, I'm very happy to share what we feel makes the difference, that special touch, that somebody feeling really connected and important, and that's everybody. The amount of models that arrive here from international markets and have a similar reaction to you is astounding. And that's sort of what affirms we know what we're doing is right. Maybe it's a combination of Cape Town and the energy here. It's a very warm and welcoming territory. And there's lots of great agencies in our market. But at ICE, we sort of run the business as if it's a family business. We're turning 30 years old this year, so we must be doing something right in terms of being a good business. But we always know and value that people are at the heart of our business. So myself and Steffi are very deeply maternal by nature, and so we care. And we enjoy that part of it. It's deeply rewarding, on top of the thrill of the business side of it, and seeing how we can make small and big differences in people's lives. But that arrival, that introduction is vitally important because it sets the tone for the rest of the relationship.
It's true, yeah. So what kind of model are you looking for? What does Cape Town mean?
The million-dollar question. Wow, so we get inundated on a daily basis with, quite literally, if we look at in a week, hundreds of applications, locally and internationally, hundreds. And it's a lot of European models wanting to come here. It's a lot of American models wanting to come here. And so we're spoilt with choice. But we really have to look at things with a slightly more critical eye, because Steffi and I love people. So it's very easy for us to find beauty in everyone we meet. So you have to really kind of take it back and go, what is the market looking for? What are we looking for? ICE is a big name and we have a big reputation, but actually our agencies run very much like a boutique agency. So we have our different boards and our different divisions, so to speak. And within those divisions, we look for different profiles. And Cape Town by nature is quite commercial, but it's not straightforward commercial. And of course, every few seasons, there will be a new trend, which obviously comes from international trends and markets that find their way here. But at the moment, I would say it's veered away from that very the market became very relatable, let's put it that way. Post-COVID, the world didn't want to see beautiful people on their screens selling things. The world was in a dark place and things were tough all around. So advertising leaned more towards a very relatable face, not intimidate. Talents, and just sort of almost just non-threatening, to put it that way. It could be your neighbor. It could literally be the person you walk past in the shopping market. It was just your everyday people. Talent, I think in Europe, the term is often people agencies.
Right.
And then, of course, it also shifted to a very diverse market. And there was, with different movements that happened in the world, America had a big ripple effect with Black Lives Matter, the Me Too movement. these things very much shaped the landscape of our industry, because advertising has to follow, right, with what the people want.
Based on the website, I saw that in 2010 or 11, you joined
Yes.
ICE
Yes.
and you changed it by using the words ICE generics and extended it to ICE kids and ICE artists.
Yes.
So you had the idea way before.
Yes, I'd like to think that we are trailblazers and pioneers. So even then, okay, so Cape Town then started to show this shift in wanting a more commercial model. But commercial then meant beautiful, aspirational, somebody that you're drawn to, but didn't necessarily require the height and the measurements that an international fashion model would need. And that, I mean, at that time, ICE was purely a fashion agency, and most of the models, well, there was only a main board and a development board. And so most of the models were being groomed and prepped to be, hopefully, to be traveling and placed internationally. But as this local market started to shift and was actually in tandem with, so I hope I'm not jumping the gun, that this might be one of your questions, but I had, in 2007, my husband and I started our own agency, and it was called Muse Management.
Yes.
And we built this little agency from the ground up, literally had to go out and scout our first model. We started with nothing. 3.5 years in, we'd built a beautiful little agency that was starting to get some nice attention from the industry from a commercial perspective. And we were doing something differently, and because it was very one-on-one, it was literally one-on-one. So it was me.
How many models did you have?
Then we, over that time period, I think we must have had about 250.
It's big. It's quite big.
But we had everything from like sports models and bodybuilders and dancers and gymnasts. It was very much sort of a very wide, broad commercial offering. So we had a handful of models who had potential to travel. So it was very much a locally based, an agency built around what the local market's needs were. And we were the new kids on the block, right? So we had a lot to prove. We couldn't just step into the arena with the likes of us models and some of the other big players. So, and during that time is sort of when this shift started to happen in industry. And then that's when ICE approached me, and the rest is history. We had a meeting, we clicked, and they invited me to join the company and as a partner and shareholder, and to open this ICE genetics division. So that was my baby here, and I'm very proud, extremely proud as to how it's grown over the years. ICE genetics is, everybody knows ICE genetics in South Africa, in Cape Town. It is known as the top commercial board.
It's totally separate from ICE models.
Well, not anymore. It was. So for up until COVID, so let's say for the first 10 years of ICE genetics, and we operated within the ICE umbrella, which is really it is what made it so aspirational, because we had that beautiful privilege of being able to grow a board under this world-renowned brand. So we had a head start and a springboard like no other. So I definitely can give credit to that. But the way we envisaged it and the way I think I poured my heart into it, and the kind of person I am is the kind of people I was drawing to the agency, and was very much energy driven, and I really wanted to do this well and do it properly. And people quickly became sort of part of a family, a little community here. But then the agency grew, or the division grew, and it got really strong. And we were attracting models who could be fashion models and could travel. So definitely there was a time where the two agencies were operating separately and almost competing. Two agencies within the company starting to sort of do a very similar thing. And then COVID came along and turned the whole world upside down. And as tough as it was such a blessing, because in that time we were able to look at our business and go, what do we need to do to make this survive a crazy international pandemic? And what's that going to look like? How's it going to roll out? And that's when Steffi and I decided to join forces. I mean, we were always partners, but that's when we merged. And we became one, just with different divisions inside the agency now. So genetics is a division within ICE now, and not a separate agency anymore. And it's worked beautifully, because now models like yourself get access to all the agents, and you get access to international agents with international experience. You get access to agents who have film experience. There's a beautiful sort of synergy, because it's not just a booker working in a division who has sort of tunnel vision about what they must do with those sort of that agenda or that assignment.
Right.
It's a really eclectic, beautiful. I mean, you've seen the table. Like, everybody is. It's a team. We always say the table is the soul of the agency. That's where the magic happens, and that's where the chemistry happens. Steffi and I do a lot behind the scenes, of course, but that table is it's the heart, and we're very proud of it. We've got amazing team that work with us.
So before you started having that boutique agency, did you do modeling yourself?
I think it's such a funny question, because I get asked this often, and it always makes me a little bit shy, I think. I did model. I was with an agency, but I didn't really take it seriously. I modeled to have an income so that I could pay for my studies, and I enjoyed it. But I was, especially then there was no ice genetics. I would have been a good ice genetics girl because I wasn't tall, well, not fashion tall. So I did TV commercials, a little bit of catalog, but I was never of that caliber that I could take it seriously and travel. But that's not how I got into this business. I modeled for like 2 years, and then I went, because I studied advertising. So
At least the experience, how it is to be in front of the camera, I
Absolutely.
mean, how much value and how much work we also have to do, right?
absolutely, I 100% agree. It gives me empathy, and it gives me a different context, and I can really sort of, like, I've walked in your shoes a little bit, so I can relate. And I think every agent, even if they haven't modeled or acted before, it's valuable for them to have at least been on set, to see what happens, because that sounds like a logical thing, but agents are often stuck behind our desks. But to be on set, to see it's like a machine. It's a well-oiled machine with all these cogs that have to work together, and having that knowledge definitely gives you that visual insight to be able to apply your job and communicate with the models, and in a way that they know you understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Usually in the wintertime in Germany, I used to fly to Asia to work there as a model. But time has changed. I've gotten older, I have gray hair. So my question is, how are models like 40 plus? How's the market here?
Well, it's definitely in your favor, I would say. The bulk of the work is probably 30 to 45, 50. But when I say the bulk, that's the money, commercial, and campaign work. Our youngsters, sort of like 16, 17, 18, and even into your early 20s, the competition is huge. The pool of models and talent is enormous. So to stand out, number one, is hard. And the kind of work, it's not like what people think modeling is, certainly in Cape Town once they're starting out. Shows and runway, that doesn't really exist here. We have a handful of fashion shows a year, but nothing that is going to necessarily put somebody on a international map. And the editorial, the fashion work, it's also it's not enough to satiate such a big pool of young up and coming models, and which is why it's so important to be an agency that can really work hands on with these youngsters, because there's a lot of development to do while the work isn't extremely plentiful for everybody. There are those, absolutely, who work multiple times a week. But going back to your question, that market that you're in now, advertising in the world has also woken up and gone, wait a minute, I'm 41, so I'll speak from my own experience. If I'm looking at a skincare campaign, and I'm looking at skincare that's going to target my skin concerns now in my 40s, I don't want to see a 20-year-old applying moisturizer and serum to their face. Your skin's amazing at 20. I want to see somebody who looks like me that's still aspirational. And because I've worked hard to get to a point where I can afford certain things, I'm going to spend the money on it if I relate to that advertising. And it's the same for you. You are, when the guys walk in here, we literally want to see, have you got any gray hair yet? Steffi is, we need more gray hair, because it's the money market now. So sure, it might have shifted in the Asian territories, but here, Europe, America, this salt and pepper look, and you've got such beautiful skin, you've looked after yourself, you've that beautiful balance of being handsome but relatable. So you positioned in a way that you could really do very well. This business is always a little bit of luck and good timing. So, but you know the saying, luck is where preparation meets opportunity.
Right.
So you're in a really good position because you've got all these years of experience, and you've now arrived at a stage in your life where the advertising world is resonating with your look, because it's cars, it's finance, it's watches, it's skincare and beauty. It's those aspirational things, big property developments. They're not going to, if it's a client from Dubai and they're building a mega city, they're probably not going to book 18-year-olds to advertise in their brochures. They're going to book.
Yeah, it's interesting. In Asia, it's totally different. I got booked last year for the UB commercial.
Yeah.
And they couldn't find any Asians, so they flew me over for a whole week. There's no Asians with gray hair. No, they don't, because they all color themselves black.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to be young. And even if you look at the advertising, you see, as you say, 25-year-old putting cream on.
Yeah. I think Asia is such a special territory, and it's a market we watch a lot, especially markets like South Korea. The Korean market is booming. And it's the younger, the more it's like this obsession with the fountain of youth. It's fascinating, but it is also quite specific. There isn't as much range to be diverse in terms of the ethnic offering. We see even with our Asian clients that come shoot here, if it's a Chinese client, they will only book models and talent who have Chinese heritage. We've had models lose jobs because they don't have the right mix that the client requires. So it's quite a difficult market to, I think, do consistently well in the older you get. When we send models to travel, sort of like from 18, we don't send models younger than 18 to travel. But the Asian markets want young, 18, sort of early 20s. But the agencies that we work with in Asia, we see like a lot of the models that they have more specifically from Eastern Europe, are like 15 years old, 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, those are the ones who are doing runways with bathing suits, showing a lot of skin.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I must say, we're just a lot more conservative in this market. And maybe it's also just by nature. It's the sort of that urge to want to protect the youngsters and get them ready. When you're 15, you don't know anything about I have a 15-year-old son. He's amazing. And I think he's very wise and mature for his years. But he's 15. What does he know about the world? Imagine sending him 10,000 miles across the ocean to go and model. It's quite a daunting thing to think about.
I understand. So about the process, I was amazed, like from the beginning when we had that WhatsApp call, video call for, it was about 30 minutes.
At least, yeah.
And I was wondering, like, I never had that before. So even doing pollers and talking with Colleen, and she's telling us what we can do here. So everything, you took so much time in it. Is that a normal process?
Every single person.
Right.
If somebody lives here, we meet with them in person. But if they're not here, like you weren't, we will always, always, always have a video call before we even consider signing someone. Because number one, pictures are not always indicative of the person that's going to walk through the door, right? So we'll first, like we did with you, we asked for a video. We made you really work. Okay, nice, crisp, beautiful. You can see you're a very handsome man, but now we need to see a video. How do you sound on camera when you speak? How do you carry yourself? How natural are you? Then we discuss as a team. So Steffi and I will first sit, do we like him? Yes, no. Yes, we like him. Team, what do you think? No, he's cool. Let's see more. Then we invite you for the video call. And that's, I mean, you got to, it's but two ways. You got to see what we were like, and that we're relatable, nice, caring human beings, and to learn a little bit about us and our business, and we get to get the feeling for you and your energy, because Cape Town is all about energy. You can be the most beautiful man or woman in the room, and you can lose a job to somebody who maybe doesn't have aesthetically the looks or the angles that you have, but if their personality is amazing, if they have something lovable or likable, or they're charismatic, or they're sweet, or their performance was stronger, that person will 9 times out of 10 book the job. So obviously, to be beautiful or model-esque in your looks, and have that is a powerful combination. I know in other territories in the world, personality isn't as much of a necessity, but here it's vital. So that's why we chat to you. And then once you arrive, it's so important. So number one, and I think we may have even said this to you, we value and appreciate the risk that you're taking to come here. You're leaving your home. You're having to make arrangements. You might have animals. You might have another job. There's all sorts of things that you have to get in place before you come here. Then you've got to spend money on a flight and accommodation, which we know in Cape Town is expensive. So your expenses are double. You're having to still maintain your life back home, and you're having to maintain a in some ways expensive, and in other ways really affordable lifestyle here in Cape Town. So we would be extremely disrespectful if we didn't value that and go, right, Chris has made a huge commitment to us. We owe him the same commitment, if not more. And so everything we do has so much thought put into it. So the digitals, we employ a photographer, an in-house photographer, to spend time and take professional digitals, spend time with you. You are somebody with experience, but Cape Town has a different heartbeat to it. So Mark will spend time with you. He'll get you relaxed. He'll get to know you. He'll give you some tips and some insights. And then that can't happen in 5 minutes. So every model is allocated half an hour for that time. Then the onboarding with Kayleen is vitally important. If you just arrive and we assume Chris knows what he's doing and off you go, great, it could work. But we're leaving room for error there. We're leaving things sort of loose ends. So she sits and she goes through absolutely everything that we can think of. And every now and then there's a new thing we add to the list. We go, oh, we've got to let the models know about this. And then we update our onboarding information. And yes, it's your day-to-day sort of the casting stuff, but you're living here. We want you to enjoy our beautiful city. Here's some gyms you can contact. These are places that you shouldn't walk at night. And this is a night market that you should definitely go and experience local cuisine. We want you to immerse yourself in it, because if you're happy, that shows in your castings and your experience. And then it just all works. It all comes together. And we want you to go back home and go, wow, that was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I want to come back and I want to tell my friends about it. And so everybody gets that, because we believe that is going to bring more out of you and the experience as a whole.
Great. How about social media, or let's say in the marketing itself? Nowadays, models are competing with social influencers, with the UGC, if you ever heard of it.
Yes.
Especially in Germany. How important are models in the future?
So
And also the AI.
Yeah.
In Germany, there's one agency who's working now with AI models.
Mm-hmm. We have an agency here as well who's launched some AI models, and it's been interesting to see how the market reacts to this sort of thing. Obviously, we speak to clients and photographers and associates internationally. So exactly what you've said, sort of creators and influencers and the AI element, it's a global thing. We discuss this weekly because it's something we have to be aware of and stay on top of. But also know that keeps us human. Our humanity is that those who are trying to do important and good work in the world within our industry, okay, we're not saving lives here, but when we talk about people wanting to produce good work, the big advertising agencies, the big production companies, when I speak to those executive producers and to those directors, they all say the same thing. They care about the work. They care about the client. They're not just wanting to mass produce things and ride the wave until it comes, and at least they retire with some money in their pocket and whatever happens after them, it's up. They really are passionate about the next generation and our humanity and the values and the value systems that go with that. So we, a couple of years ago, did an exercise internally where we brought in a digital marketing company, and we actually got behind the psychology of who are we? What do we stand for? What are our values? What is our manifesto? And so we unpacked that, and we knew what it was, but it was so beautiful to see it come to life on paper. And that was sort of at the time that we redid our website and redid our logo. And it was, so if we as a relatively, in comparison to some of these big agencies in New York and in Germany, and we're smaller. And if we were doing that, can you imagine what these big companies all around the world are doing? Big pharmaceutical companies, big financial companies, big automotive companies. They're all doing this. And it comes down to the good ones. They're wanting to produce good work. And only human beings can produce that kind of like selling soul, you know. An AI avatar, I think there will definitely be clients that align with that. They want to be on the cutting edge of technology. They want to be seen as the first to do it. They want to be cool. I think how it will roll out, or how I hope it will roll out, is that AI will be used as something that assists our industry. And I have no problem with that. If it is a tool that helps keep budgets in line so that models and actors can get paid what they should be, if it's a tool that's being utilized to refine certain processes, and if it's a tool that is used certainly for dubbing and translating into different languages, it's a beautiful thing. And so we shouldn't run from it, because it's coming, it's there. We should learn how to work with it. I don't think that models and actors will ever become obsolete, because Steffi says this a lot. The explanation she uses is, we're just doing it to ourselves. To what gain is that? We will all be out of jobs. Eventually, that ripple effect, it will be beyond agencies and models. It will crew and the creatives. I mean, the unemployment globally that we will sit with will just be devastating. So I don't think that'll ever happen. I think now it's sort of it's an interesting thing, and it's being explored. But we've seen it hasn't worked in our market. There are some clients who've utilized it, but and maybe one or two that have even only used AI models. But all these big campaigns, I mean, so I have to be careful, because there's a lot of confidentiality and NDAs tied into the job shooting. But there's a job shooting here at the moment that is celebrating 100 years of being in existence, this brand. It is an enormous shoot. Enormous. And they have to use real people. And it's lots of money, massive budget. But these are scenes that AI could recreate. A scene in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, because obviously in 100 years they want to show the evolution of this brand. But they're using real people and costumes and jewelry that date back to different times and and that is the commercial or the reel or the digital moving media that you're going to watch. That's going to make you feel like that. It's going to give you a lump in your throat, maybe a tear in your eye, or it's going to make you laugh, or it's going to make you go. People want to feel things. I want to feel something when I'm watching advertising. Life is so full. Life is so fast that when you watch something, you want it to make you feel something. I won't buy something on an e-commerce store that has an AI model. I won't buy it. It doesn't resonate with me.
Right.
So I'm one person, but I think there's many millions of people that feel like me.
Oh, great.
The influencers and the creators, I think that is something that we also have to learn to work with, because clients inevitably will want to cut budgets. And where do they want to cut budgets? They want to cut model budgets. And often they regret that, because what you have accumulated and learned in your time as a model is valuable, and what you bring to set is of value. And sometimes cutting corners when it comes to things like that, and maybe using an inexperienced creator, because there's amazing creators out there and we represent some of them as well. And it's not always an answer. But because of how quickly content changes and how bored viewers and people get, clients have to unfortunately produce volume. And so there isn't a campaign budget every month. So the digital content in between and the UGC is necessary, and it speaks to different target audiences. So we've also had to adapt our thinking to that and can't just quote a campaign fee for certain things. So UGC briefs are more and more prevalent, but we like to work with quality people. We turn a lot of that sort of work away, or those who apply to be with our agency away, because there are specialized agencies that look after creators, and I think that's beautiful. And we will handpick who we think is of an ICE caliber and in a creation space. And then ideally, they are models as well, and not just brand ambassadors or content creators. And it's a more holistic approach.
Very good.
I talk a lot, eh?
You said you are a mom of 3 children.
Yes.
So, and then having this company, how do you manage it?
Amazing time management skills. No, I love being a mom. It's something I always knew from very young, that I wanted to have a family and I wanted to have kids. So, I relatively young. My first son was born when I was 25. So I have a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they are the reason why I get up and smile and do my best in the world every day, is because I want them to see a good example in their parents and in their mom, to know that you can, this sort of like elusive, I want to have it all. What does that mean? It's different for everybody. But what I want to show them is that you can be a good parent who is present and grows good humans and citizens of the world, quality people, and gives of my time and knowledge and care and love, but that they can also be successful, and they can be of value to the world. They can make a positive influence in people's lives no matter what they do. And I think that's how me being a mom has been so vital in the way I run the agency, because I'm a mom to everyone here. A lot of the models call me Mama D, and older than me. People in their 60s call me Mama D, because I love to look after people. I love to, and Steffi's the same. If somebody's sick, we immediately send them, this is what you need to go get, or make sure you get your ginger and your vitamin C, or we care. And people go through things no matter what age, but often it's in those teething ages where you're becoming an adult in this very daunting world. And our couch is often a psychologist's couch. We should put Dr. La Grange and Dr. Rinaldi on our door, because we listen and we care, and we want people to, whether they do this for a short time or for a lifetime, this time that they have with ICE must have made such an impression on them that they take that out with them into the world. Whatever good thing they learned here, that they pass it on, that they pay it forward. And that's for me, is then we can go to sleep at night and know we've done our job well. We're not raising brats and entitled people who think, oh, well, I was born like this, I'm just allowed to have anything I want because I look this way. Or no, the world owes you nothing. You owe the world. You owe the world to be of service. And this industry, as much as it can be very fake and very volatile and very in all the negative things you can hear out there, it's also really beautiful and can be of substance. And that's what I want people to walk away from, to feel that there was substance in this. That question went all the way around.
That beautifully said. Very, very nice. Very impressed. And yeah, your kids are very lucky.
Thank you. Tell them that.
They will afterwards.
I'm sure. No, they do. They do. And I have an amazing husband who is hands-on. Takes a village. I take my hat off to single moms. that is an impossible task in my mind. It's really hard. Like, I have a supportive husband, and we've run our company in a way that the agents who are parents here know that they don't have to just give their pound of flesh to their job their whole life. You've got to, you should have a balance, and that's, it's accessible, it's doable. We want to feel like we don't have resentment, and this is a tough job. It's a very demanding job. I don't think anybody will ever know until they actually do it, because I think people think, oh, you just have,
You're just counting the money.
or you just having fancy lunches all day, or oh, you go to fashion week, or you can travel. We never do that stuff, which sometimes we should, because it's also important. But we are here, like in the trenches. We are doing it. We are rolling up our sleeves and doing the work every day. We love it, so we really love it, and that's why we do it. But it's a hard job. Besides the fact that you have to have knowledge of contract law, entertainment law, essentially, you have to be able to administratively be exceptionally dexterous, because one little mistake can have a huge ripple effect. And we're human, mistakes happen, but we try and minimize them. So the amount of like planning and scheduling that goes on here every day. I mean, these agents are, I think stockbrokers don't even know what it's like to work on a booking table. And then you've still got to have this human element. So it can be quite an emotionally and mentally taxing job, but it's rewarding. It's so rewarding if it's done right.
Great. No, like when we get the castings, everything is so professional. Like compared to Germany and Asia, it's not like that. I was just talking to Adrian about it, and we did a podcast too, talking afterwards. Anytime you did something or experience here. And yeah, we were both amazed.
I'm so glad. But we want to grow, and we want to hear from you guys when you need something different. Or this is the thing about us, is that we never ever get complacent. We never get arrogant. No agency is bigger than the model. Doesn't work. We work for you. We work for you, not the other way around. And so I encourage you, and anybody who's listening to this, and any model with us or any agency, ask the questions. Ask the questions. Because sometimes casting directors also only get given a limited amount of information, or they only pass on a limited amount of information to us on a brief. It can be very basic, like women 25 to 30, all races. Now, I can imagine with all the agencies in Cape Town, how many suggestions the casting director gets. So we have to be inventive. We have to be like casting directors in this job.
So you don't go through your computer, type in 25 till 35, all names spitting out casting.
No. When it comes down to sizing, if a client needs a size 40 EU shoe, then we can't get creative.
Yeah.
They need a 40 EU shoe. But there has to be so much creativity in this job. You have to really look at the brief, look at the client. What campaigns has this client done over the last year or two? What are they looking for? Because the brief isn't going to always tell us. So we have to go, okay, let's hop onto this website. Whether it's a client we know forever and ever, and we still have to go, what does their last campaign look like? Or what is their Instagram page looking like? What's the personality they're putting out there? What models did they book in their last campaign? Or if it's a completely new client we've never heard of before, we have to go research it. And then we sit and we go, right, okay, this is the age group. But if it's 25 to 30, I will have a few guys and girls who maybe are 21, but they read older and they have maturity. And I go, oof, and I can be selected then and go, okay, I'm just going to add these little wild cards because they can pull it off. Or somebody who's 30 who looks much younger than they are, lucky them. And curate the package that the client is not just getting the same pictures every time or the same faces every time. If it's a sports client, or if it's a business client, I'm going to go into your book. We all do. And we'll go, okay, the front picture on Chris's digital presentation for this client is going to be Chris in a suit or Chris in a collared top, because the client's going to be able to see him in that context. I'm not going to send you in like a camping gear. We have to show and tell the client. They don't have time. They don't have always the imagination to look past something, unless they're in their final stages of a short list, maybe. But when they're just getting volume of people being shown to, we've got to make their job easier so that our people can stand out. Really, really hand select. And also with the amount of models in town across all the agencies, casting directors only have capacity to see a certain amount of people in a day. It's just humanly not possible. So they will also say to us, only put your 5 or 10 best people for this role forward. We can't put the same 5 or 10 people forward every time. We're not going to give everybody a chance. So we really have to read the brief. And I know, and every model wants to work all the time. Every model wants to go, my friend went to that casting and I look like them, or it's a similar. Trust us. Trust us. Because not everybody is right for the brief. Sometimes a casting director will overlook someone and then we'll go, we feel you really, like, I totally understand you're busy, or that your client is looking for this, but we really feel you've overlooked Chris. Maybe he is slightly outside of the age group that you're looking for, or blah, blah, but this is what he's done before, or he did this campaign last year, or go look at his podcast. He speaks really well. If it's something where they want a dialogue, we will push, we'll go the extra mile, but we can only do that because we have less people. We have quality over quantity. If you're an agency that has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of models, you can't do that. Then you are going 25 to 30, but send.
Yeah, that's how we feel in Germany.
Yeah.
And we get lots of e-casting, mass caster, where I don't see anymore the agency. I'm like, what are the agency doing? It's not even the head booker. It's maybe internship who's just sending it out. That's how I feel.
Yeah. And it's tough because look here, your competition, you're casting with a few hundred maybe in total. But in Europe, you're casting against thousands. So it's so difficult for you to book a job like that. And it's amazing when you do, because it's a little bit of luck as well. They open your package at the right time. But I always say there's pros and cons to everything. On the positive, you're practicing. You're getting those self-tapes, you're getting comfortable. And it's like working a muscle. So you're casting fit, you're e-casting fit, because you're producing professional stuff. Your lighting's amazing. Clients always know, and casting directors and agents know, wow, Chris's videos are going to be, because he takes his time and he knows what he's doing. So there you're already bettering your chances. Those who are not treating it as a job and who are just going, quick selfie.
Yes.
It's
right.
The chances are so microscopic. So it must be frustrating for you to do that all the time, and the ratio of what you're doing, what you're booking is quite imbalanced. But
actually, it's more the feedback.
Yes.
Right? Because you do your work, nobody's telling you, okay, it's this or that.
Yes.
Right? So
in the room, exactly. Like right in there, casting director and go, I like what you did there with your eye.
Right.
Let's take that back. Let's do that again.
But with e-casting, you don't know. You just send it off and then yes, no, out.
Exactly. And even if you are a trained actor and you have the knowledge and the skill sets to get into character and to do a self-tape that is specific to the brief, you have no idea what that director on the other side is looking for, actually. Because his or her needs also change as the casting goes on. We see that all the time. The reference picture might start with a guy with blonde hair, but they end up booking an African guy because it evolves, the brief evolves. So they kind of go, okay, but maybe that isn't where, or they really just fall in love with someone and their performance that it actually doesn't matter what their brief originally said, because that's the one who's going to sell their butter. It's a feeling. Back to why AI can never compete with humans. It's a feeling. So that's why it's such a treat to come to Cape Town, because you get to experience this, which is also going to be frustrating. It's not all sunshine and roses, because you're also going to go to castings and you're going to feel, come on, like I did a really good job there, and like there's no one else that looked like me, and maybe you won't book it. But at least then, and especially you, because you are a professional at this, if you went through all of those steps and all of those processes and you still didn't book it, it wasn't your fault. It was nothing that you did wrong. The client was looking for something different. And I often say to our actors, if you didn't book it, it wasn't your story to tell. And it gives them a bit of peace, because they go, right. And maybe that seems a bit airy-fairy and the universe and all that, but it's true. Sometimes if I watch things like, our model didn't book that, And sometimes I go, that's why this person was really right for the job. And I have peace with it. Or sometimes you see a casting and you go, that's a strange choice. But for some reason, the client, the director, that was a fit for them. So you can't win them all. You can't win them all, but you can do your best with what you have. And I think in Cape Town, you really get an opportunity to do that.
Right.
And I can promise you now, everything you learn here and that you gain here, you're going to take back with you to Europe and you're going to apply, and it will benefit your work there.
Great.
Because also, those casting directors who see thousands of self-tapes every week, they're going to maybe see you from taping here or from a casting that you've done here and a tape that gets sent up to, and they may have never seen you before. That happens all the time. European and German models specifically end up gaining clients here in Cape Town, German clients that they've never had access to in Germany, and they gain clients that will book them for the next months and years. So it's awesome.
Through your agency or through the agencies in Germany then?
Well, I think it's a mutually beneficial thing. Even if whether the jobs don't stay with us, you're working. That's what's important. And then those agencies go, wow, Cape Town did a good job. We're going to send our model back. Or
Right.
It can't be a selfish thing. It has to be mutually beneficial. Everybody has to get something out of it at the end of the day. And that's what makes it have longevity.
Great.
You know?
So thank you so much for your time.
It's a pleasure.
Is ICE Model Management the best agency? I'm very impressed. I would say yes. And if you have any questions, you may contact
Absolutely.
ICE Model or you.
On our website, we have our contact page with all of the directors and the agent's details on, and we're fully accessible for anybody to ask any questions.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much,
Appreciate
Jill.
it.
Okay,
Thank you.
then you have a good day.
You too.
Okay.
Okay.
Cut. Very good.
You know what? I actually forgot that thing was on at one stage because I was just enjoying speaking to you.